An attachment of earnings is where a creditor applies to divert money from your wages or occupational pension to pay back a debt. When an attachment of earnings is set up, your employer will send some of your wages directly to the court or your creditor, and your employer usually can't refuse to do this. There are a few different situations when a creditor can take money from your wages, and these will depend on the type of debt that you have. For a creditor to get an attachment of earnings, they usually need to apply to the court, but for some debts such as council tax and benefits overpayments, no court action will be needed. If your creditor applies for an attachment of earnings, the court has to decide how much you can afford to pay your creditor, and to do this, it will work out the minimum amount of money you need to live on, and this is called the protected earnings rate. Your creditor won't be able to get an attachment of earnings order if your take-home pay is always below the protected earnings rate. An attachment of earnings can only be ordered if you're employed by someone else and you're taxed on a pay-as-you-earn basis. If you're self-employed, unemployed, in the armed forces, or you owe less than £50, then creditors can't apply for one. Now let's take a look at some of the most common reasons for getting an attachment of earnings. If a creditor has a county court judgment or CCJ against you and you haven't paid the amount they asked you to, this can result in the creditor applying for an attachment of earnings. You'll receive a form from the court for you to fill out and complete. You must complete this form and return it, along with a copy of your most recent wage slip. If you ignore the letter, you may get summoned to court for questioning or even prosecuted if you carry on ignoring it. If you have council tax arrears, your local authority can contact your employer directly, but they must have a court order allowing them to take further action, and the amount that they take will be a fixed percentage of your income. The council can reduce the payments or stop them if you can agree this with them or show that it would cause you hardship, but in reality this is often difficult to do. If you get a criminal fine from a magistrate's court, the court can order it to be taken straight out of your wages. The amount they take will be a percentage of your income, so the more you earn, the higher amount they can take. If you have a summons to court, it's really important that you go to the hearing and take a copy of your budget. The court will need details of your budget so they know how much you can afford to pay back in instalments. If you've had an overpayment of benefits from the DWP, local authority, or HMRC for tax credits, then they can apply to take money from your wages. This is called a direct earnings attachment, or DEA, and they don't need to go to court to do this. DEAs are also used to collect housing benefit overpayments and social fund loans that haven't been paid back. The DWP or local authority will contact you before starting the DEA, and you may be able to avoid getting one by agreeing to pay back the amount in instalments. Arrears to the Child Maintenance Service, or CMS, can be taken straight from your wages using something called a deductions from earnings order. The amount taken will be set by the CMS. They will set a protected minimum amount of money that you must receive each month, and then the attachment will only be taken from earnings above this amount. Attachment of earnings orders are not very common, and they're usually only used when you haven't made the payments you've been asked to make or you've been unwilling to agree to repayments. In most cases, you'll have an opportunity to come to an agreement before the attachment of earnings is set up, so it's really important to keep in touch with creditors and make affordable offers to your debts, as this will help reduce your chances of getting one. Because your employer will be made aware of the attachment of earnings, this can cause embarrassment or even disciplinary issues at work. If this is worrying you, we'd really recommend contacting us or visit our website for more information.